Welcome to TangTalk, where we talk about everything and anything all at once. I'm Guy Tang, and today's conversation, I want to go really deep into my story of being Asian growing up. I have a few special guests here that are Asian, and growing up for me, I was in Oklahoma. I was born in 1981. I didn't have that many representation, so it made me very insecure growing up. You know, we didn't have social media. There was no TikTok. There's no YouTube. There's no Instagram. There was no way of seeing anything other than what's shown on TV, movies, and magazines. And during that time, I just remember you just never see an Asian face. And when you do see one, it's always a stereotype, a joke. It affected me growing up, not wanting to be myself, hating myself, even having thoughts of, not being alive anymore because I felt so depressed. And I always get bullied. I never felt like I was good enough. And, people treat me so different. And you just didn't see that representation anywhere. And when you do, it's just almost like a joke. And that's why I do what I do today with YouTube and social media, through my music videos, being on a reality show. The stories I share is always about, empowering, representing people who feel like they don't belong. And so for the first time ever in my life, being in my 40s, I'm finally feel free and happy to be myself and feel proud to be in my own skin. But it took a journey and a lifetime for me to get here. And finally, we're starting to see so much representation on film and movies. And I almost wish like I was a kid again, getting to relive this life, to know what it's like to, be young and be proud. So with that being said, I want to introduce my friends who are here. We have Christie. She is back. Christie Mcfit. We've met on the Bling Empire red carpet premiere. Yep. And then we have Tofu.
Hey.
And then we have Jasmine, who I just met today. Hey. So, and these, you guys are friends.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how long you've known each other?
For us two, since 2022.
Yeah, wow. Early 2022. That was when I first met her. And I met Christie in March. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're all content creators on social media. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's so much to share about that. And we are going to talk about a few intense conversations about Asian stereotypes. And then more, the thing is, so many people like, how do I relate to this? You'll be surprised how many things you can relate to this. You don't have to be Asian. You don't have to be a man or woman or any sexuality. You find something in this conversation that you can actually really relate to, or maybe someone that feels alone, and this is how you get to understand them more. Because I feel that when you do understand someone who is different, you're able to connect more, understand their insecurity. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times people get mad at people and they don't realize, hey, this person comes from a different place. You can't judge them. You don't know them. They're a different race, a different gender, different culture. And that's why maybe they respond to us differently. And we get so reactive as humans to think, oh, that person is strange. I was like, no, we have to take time to get to know someone. And through this podcast, we're going to be able to share that with all of you who are viewing this. So I did keep a track of everything that we're going to talk about, because I want to make sure we cover everything.
Yes.
Right? So with that being said, Jasmine, I want you to introduce yourself and tell us, what you want the whole world to know about you.
Well, I'm Jasmine T with 2 A's. I'm a content creator. It's really cool to kind of see all these other Asian content creators join in throughout the years and see okay, we can dominate other spaces now, it's just really cool to kind of see how especially the NSFW space has blossomed into. Yeah.
I actually really enjoy Reddit. I didn't know what that was up until the pandemic situation. And all of a sudden I decided to Google my name, and all of a sudden it led me to this place where people were gossiping. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what are people saying about me on this site? And so I was like, what? I have to log in. I have to join. So then you find so many things where people really voice their opinion without being filtered. Mm-hmm. And you get to see people for who they really are and how they really think without the filtration.
Yeah, especially since Reddit is anonymous, especially if you don't post your face, you can be completely anonymous there. And I feel when people have this mask on, that's how that is truly how they are inside.
Because a lot of people are putting up a front on Instagram, and they because it's tied so much to their job, their career, when people judge them on Instagram. But on Reddit, like you said, the being anonymous, no one gets to see what they're really thinking.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you start to realize what people are looking for and where stereotypes and racism and certain conversations are being had, and how that plays such a role on how people treat you in person. So it's very interesting. Tofu.
Hi. So my name's Tofu. I've been a content creator since 2016, but I started off as an astrologer. So I'm a professional astrologer, but I am also a content creator. So I do astrology consultations on the side, but then primarily I do want to become a cosplayer. I love anime. I love video games, so I play a lot of video games too. And at least for me in my presence, like when I grew up, I pretty much feel like Asian creators pretty much spearheaded a lot of social media, like, Niga Higa, Michelle Phan, Janim, Whaley, like you. Like, I literally watched so many Asian creators growing up, and I'm like, that's gonna be me one day. Wong Fu, and like, the type of media that you saw back in like 2010 to now, it has developed so beautifully. Because, back in the day, we can just, relate to each other and be like, oh, no, we didn't get straight A's. Oh, no, it's over. But, like, nowadays, the Asian experience is a lot deeper. It's more nuanced. And, like, I feel quite happy that we can talk about the experience of being who we are with a lot more nuance and not be as, like, stereotyped.
Yeah, YouTube space as a content creator was the first place for representation.
Yeah.
Because you get to see people who are like us, and they, like you said, spearheaded, had a huge following. And I met Michelle Phan, love her, we're still friends. And just being able to connect to so many things, people who we relate to. And now it led us to like Crazy Rich Asians and movies with representation, Bling Empire, which I was a part of, and so many movies that are out now, like Joyride and so many I can't even name, and it's so amazing to see so much representation on screen now. I don't even know. I was like, so this is what it feels like to be seen.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Oh my gosh.
It feels
Especially
good.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like that, I think
right?
that is like the most prominent movie, like because it's like speaks about like the mental health too, and then like the generational like trauma. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if we have kids, we know they're going to be raised in a time where they get to see themselves on television and see that representation. And that's why I was like, man, can I, be reborn in this new generation and experience all this so I didn't have to be so ashamed and be embarrassed. And have you ever felt embarrassed and ashamed growing up being Asian before when you were a kid?
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
For me personally, when I was in elementary school, yes, because like the place that I grew up, there wasn't a lot of other Asians. But then once I went into high school, I was actually blessed to be in a high school with a lot of diversity. And everyone, it was kind of cliquey by race, actually, because since like everyone's experiences weren't really like spoken about, like at least for me, I had like a huge group of like Asian friends in high school because we would talk about our experiences and we're like, oh, we experienced the same thing. We have to stick together.
What decade was this?
For me, it was like during like the 2010s.
2010s, wow. So
Yeah.
it wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. And like, at least from my experience, since I've seen like other like Asian individuals, we all kind of stuck together and we kind of started to have like this very like intense love for being Asian, like since I was smaller.
It's like having this
that.
community camaraderie and this.
Yeah.
It makes such a huge difference when when you grow up having people that you feel accepts you and embrace you.
Yeah.
And Christie, I know that you've been on here before, but
Yes.
you could reintroduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Christie Mcfit, and basically I also have experienced not having enough representation growing up, and it really made me ashamed of being Asian. I always wanted to be white or half white or anything else but Asian. It was a really tough time, especially growing up in white suburban New Jersey. And I was also adopted, for anyone who hadn't seen the previous episode of me in it, by two white parents. So I had a lot of identity crisis. So when finally Crazy Rich Asians came out, Bling Empire, and it was finally cool to be Asian, I was like, wow, like this feels good actually, and I want to explore more into it. So then when I met you, you've been teaching me so much and helping me indulge in my culture and embrace it. Like you taught me how to use chopsticks, hot pot,
Dim sum.
yeah.
Korean barbecue.
We haven't done that yet, but
We're
we're getting
going
to
to,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a really fun time and empowering, and I love it. And I'm so grateful that I met you.
I wish I had a friend that helped me love myself growing up. And I want to be to you what, I would love for myself. It's like treat people how you want to be treated. Put out that energy that you want back. And that's why when I see someone like yourself and with a good heart, because they have to have a good heart. They can't be like, someone shady or anything like that. But I see your heart and I go like, I want to be your friend. And if there's any way for me to help you become proud and make you feel like you belong, I want to create that safe space for you.
Thank you. And I also do want to point out these ladies over here and some of our friends, other creator friends. We go by the Asian Angels, and they've also really helped me embrace being powerful and sensual Asians and just like everything. It's just been really amazing to be part of such a wonderful group of people.
Aww.
Yeah, and y'all have taught me so much as well, so I'm really grateful for that as well.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. We're gonna like do a little clap.
Yeah. No, it's like
the sensual empowerment. It's such a big deal because you want to feel beautiful. You want to feel attractive, and because we grew up our whole life trying to assimilate being someone we're not, right?
Definitely.
And I want to know, okay, what's the craziest thing you have done to try to assimilate to not looking Asian?
Oh,
Jasmine,
gosh.
we'll start with you.
Well, I never went through with it, but I remember like I went through this phase in middle school, especially like going into the 6th grade. I was like, I'm gonna do a whole different look. I'm gonna like wear blue contacts. I'm gonna dye my hair blonde. I'm gonna join the cheerleading team. There was no cheerleading team at the middle school, but I was so set on joining the cheerleading team.
Why is that? Is it like the movies, like Bring It On? and-
Yeah, like especially like not having that Asian representation, like like you always see like the popular girls, like the popular white girls in like the cheerleading team, and I wanted to be one of those people. So it's like I was so dead set on like being one of those people. Didn't happen, but like that was like a phase I went through, and that was like I think that went on for like 2 years where I was so set on like, okay, this is gonna happen and I'm gonna be like accepted into like that crowd.
Were
Yeah.
you accepted though?
Like I found my own crowd, thankfully. Especially going to like a prominently Hispanic school, I didn't like really face a lot of like Asian racism, I would say there. But when I did go to school in New York, when I was the only Asian kid, like I would say like I was probably one of the very few Asian kids like in the entire school. I was bullied so hard I had to move all the way to California.
When you say bullied, what did they say?
Like apparently they threw rocks at me.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was like that awful. And
they say things too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like we probably know what they are already.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was like 6 years old, so thankfully I can't remember. But I remember like the story my sister experienced is like it was her birthday, and then my mom brought like popcorn to her classroom, and then the children started singing happy birthday to the popcorn and not my sister.
Oh.
Yeah. It was that bad.
It could be traumatizing, especially when you're a child growing up, and that's
Oh my god, I think if I was in that situation, I would never recover.
Yeah, my poor sister.
Oh my god.
It was like a core memory for her. Yeah.
Tofu, do you have a assimilation story?
Yes. For me, it was through fashion. So like when I entered middle school, like when you enter school, like, you're trying to learn about your aesthetic, yourself, what looks good, what doesn't look good, and like puberty and everything. And back in the day, Hollister, Abercrombie, and Aeropostale was like blooming. Like every single white girl had Vera Bradley. They had a Vera Bradley purse. They wore like a shirt that had said like Aeropostale all over it.
Yeah.
And like they had the nice jeans. Oh, Converse. And like I literally would go to my mom and be like, we have to buy that.
Yeah.
And she's like, the jacket's like $70.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, but I'm like, Mom, they're gonna make fun of me if I don't like wear this. She's like, but why not Old Navy? I'm like, Old Navy's for losers. Old Navy, if you're watching this, I don't think you're losers. I like your flip flops.
I like Old Navy now, but
Yeah.
back then Abercrombie was cool because they have all the hot, sexy, naked guys on
Oh,
there. Do you
yeah.
remember that?
Yes.
And the store smelled like perfume. So like, every time I walked in, I was like, like I'm gonna be a California hottie, even though like it was in Texas.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really that hot to begin with.
Well, you know what's funny? Because now Abercrombie changed. They're not like that anymore.
I feel like, Western beauty standards and Asian beauty standards are very different. And I grew up with a split mind being like, which aesthetic am I going to go for? Because tanning is usually seen as really nice in Western culture, but you have to be pale in Asia. And I had a childhood friend who had a darker skin color, but she wasn't allowed to play outside because her mom would be like, "You're gonna look dark. You can't you can't play outside because you'll be too dark." So for me personally, I would kind of fluctuate back and forth, and I'm kind of like, I don't think this is sustainable because skin color can't change that fast.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, I'll just stay where I am.
Yeah.
See where it goes.
I mean, now that we're in this conversation, it's about loving the skin that we're in. And also loving and embracing other people for their skin that they're in. Because what happens is something that we don't love about ourselves, we start seeking in our lover, in our interest, in our friendship circle, because you're trying to assimilate so hard to fit in that you end up, it's what's it called? Projecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and deflecting. It's there's all these things when you don't like what you have, you're trying to search for it within other people to align yourself with. And that's where that prejudice comes in. You start discriminating people that look like you. Not you, but people within our community tend to do that. And I feel like calling it out and addressing it is very important because we can't allow this to continue. We can't allow people within our community to constantly judge people who have different skin colors, because everyone is beautiful. Everyone, and as we start to age and grow older, we start to see beauty in every race that isn't represented. In television, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank you for being so vulnerable with that.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Thank you. I mean, thank you for letting me have a platform to speak.
Because when you said, oh, I'm still Asian, I mean, that's almost it breaks my heart to hear that because I know what that feels like. And I'm going to share a little bit of my story because I think it's kind of funny looking back at it. I'm a little bit embarrassed by it, but I used to watch this show called Saved by the Bell. And there was this hot guy named Zach Morris. I did not know he's half Indonesian. He's half Asian, but he looks more white, presenting, more passing on the show. They have his hair blonde, all that stuff. And I kept on trying to make my hair blonde. And I even bleached my pubes. Yeah. My armpit, my pubes. I was like, oh, I need to look like this character because he's so hot. And then it burned. I got scabs. And I was only a teenager, right? So I didn't know that you could use toners and all these. And then I tried to learn how to, and I put toner on it, which was permanent color at that time. And then it burned me and I was red and it just wasn't worth it. Then it turned orange. So I had orange pubes.
Oh,
But all of this was trying, because, when you watch, because I was able to find, adult, we'll call it pornography.
Yeah.
we found these things someplace and then I would go, oh, there's lighter pubes, how come mine looks so dark, so then I was trying to bleach it because it was part of that. That's why people say, oh, representation doesn't matter, but it really does. Because when you grow up hating yourself, you start doing these things. And not only do you do it, you start judging other people that don't have these things. And what happens, it causes internalized racism. We start hating ourselves. We start hating other people that look like us. We start treating people differently. It starts to be weird. And this is something that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge. They get defensive over it. But by acknowledging it, it's actually kind of funny because the mere fact that I kind of poke fun at myself, you can't make fun of me because I already laugh at myself. I already told you, yeah, I bleached my pubes. I was that guy. But that's okay. That's why I love having my hair dark and I love having my pubes dark. I was like, you know what? I am 40 years old. I love it. Even though there's gray hairs popping through right now because I'm there, but I was like, whatever. But it took me this long to love myself. Can you believe that? It took me 40 years to love myself. 40 years.
oh wow.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, some people will probably never reach that point.
Yeah.
It don't take how many, a lot more than 40 years.
And that's why I'm so grateful to know all of you people and including the other Asian angels because y'all have been such a saving grace for me because I hated myself for so long. But to see all of you being so successful, it warms my heart. It makes me feel like I can be successful too.
You are
So-
successful.
You are successful.
What do you mean?
It's cool to see the representation, the powerhouse that we hold. It's beautiful.
But a lot of people dismiss that. When you talk about representation, people get annoyed because they think it's such an overused word. And because people who've always been represented, they don't know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for them, it's like, oh, these people are whining and complaining. But they don't realize until you were raised up in an environment where you never see yourself and hate yourself all the time, you will never understand. And not only that, but be teased and having a culture that's so different because, my parents, they came over here from Vietnam. I'm first generation. So during the 80s, I experienced that first hit of racism. And like kids would throw rocks at me too. And they would call me all these words, the C word, the G word, the F word. I mean, you name it. There's all these words that they would use on me and beat me up. And then it led up to my 16th birthday when I had a gun held to my head. Yeah. So for me, I faced a lot of trauma. And during that time, because even though I didn't get hurt, I saw a lot of blood. I saw a lot of people at the party that I threw at my 16th birthday party where the gun activity happened. It traumatized me so much that even up till I was 27, 28, I still couldn't get over it. I was so angry at the world. I hated everybody because I was so angry because I felt like everyone is, everybody hates me. Everyone is racist. And then everywhere I go, I was so hypersensitive. When people call me Oriental, I get mad. When people call, me exotic, I get mad. Like I was that sensitive because those words were used to foreignize me. Those words were used to say, you don't belong here. Go back to China. Go back to where you belong. And all these stereotypes that made me feel less of a man. There's all these stereotypes on Asian men that make us feel so emasculated and desexualized that I hated myself growing up. So it took me all the way, till when I came out the closet as a gay man. For me, it was so important to find someone who was an Asian man because I want to know what's like to hold another Asian man and love another Asian man because it's a reflection of me loving myself. And because I wasn't around that, so I was seeking an Asian guy. When I first came out the closet, I was like, I need an Asian man immediately. I need to have all types of activities with him. And that's how, intense it was because, and I remember at that time, I have a message that was called Destination. I like all over my Facebook, and I have a website at the time. It was all about, finding that place where you become proud of yourself. And I was a go-go boy. I was at all the nightclubs dancing. I was posing, for coffee table books, half naked, showing my body because I wanted to see that representation I never saw in myself. Now, as an adult, I'm able to do that through my music videos. So if you ever see my music videos, a lot of them, I'm like shirtless, singing in the rain, getting wet in the shower.
I saw your latest song, I think a few nights before, and I was like, wow, this is majestic.
Yeah.
like majestic Asian men. Something that we do not see in media very often.
Especially American media.
Yeah.
And elegance too.
And for me, it's really important to show, strong vocals. I want to show that I do have substance behind what I'm showing. And so many people who have followed me for a long time only know me for hair. So they didn't realize, what's he doing? Why is he doing music? Why is he doing all these things? They don't realize my purpose and not only sharing my talent and escaping through my lyrics and my music, but also sharing stories about my past and also able to show representation that was missing for me. So that's why I do what I do. It fuels me. It gives me the strength to keep on doing what I do. That's why a lot of the things I do have purpose behind it. And that's why I named my last album Power and Pain. I found power in pain. Because there's so much pain in my life growing up, I was able to use that pain and turn it into my greatest strength and tell a story with it, I know that was really intense, but I want to say that. It's real.
It is.
Yeah,
Thank you
raw.
for sharing that with us, and thank you for sharing your story, with everyone. I'm sure, again, there's a lot of people who kind of, experience these things, but, not a lot of people share their stories.
They're scared to.
Yeah.
And especially being Asian, when a lot of us, you both have Asian parents?
Yeah.
A lot of us, we grew up suppressing our emotions because our parents don't tell us they love us, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I remember seeing all of my friends who are white, their parents would be like, I love you, son. You did a great job. B- is amazing. And I'm over here with my A-, and they're like, it's not good enough. And they never tell me they love me. And so I never felt loved. I never felt like I'm enough.
Yeah.
And you felt this, yeah?
Yeah, I had a huge I honestly still probably have it today. I still have a huge inferiority complex because I personally wasn't good at STEM subjects, so like math and science, but I was pretty good at like English and history and everything else. But it didn't matter how good I was, because if I wasn't gonna do arithmetic, my mom would be like, "Yeah, you're stupid." Because I was called stupid a lot growing up, just because I didn't have straight A's, and I actually really thought like, "Oh, I am stupid." And then what happened is, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's two things: you either have talent or you have hard work. If you're stupid, you have to work hard. And that's how pretty much where I came to where I am, where I'm like, my work is my worth. And it was pretty unhealthy. And because I never felt like I was enough, I'm like, oh, I'm dumb, so I have to compensate by working harder. So like that's something that I kind of have to kind of like, heal within myself. Because, if all of that you've done up to now was only with the premise that you are only as worth it as your work, like, who am I if I'm useless? Let's say I broke a leg. Let's say that, something were to happen to me. What is my worth at that point?
Wow.
Mic drop.
And that's something that I mean, I still struggle to this day, honestly, but I usually have to tell myself, like, look, technically, if you were to ask your loved ones, they would say the opposite. So just sit and believe it until you can.
This message kind of goes across the board for everyone, especially content creators,
Yes.
because we're so tied to our job title. We're so tied to our, label. Like, oh, you're an influencer or a content creator, or you're a hairstylist, or you're a model, or whatever it is. All of a sudden, that title becomes your identity.
Yeah.
And when people see you, they only talk to you about your identity. They don't realize there's other layers and stories behind your job.
Yeah.
And we tend to feel worthless if we don't have that title, which is actually very mentally unhealthy. And this has been going on before social media within our culture as Asian people. It's so deeply ingrained into us that our job is our worth. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's pretty much a pretty strong capitalist notion too. Like, it all kind of just intersects, where it's like, if you don't work, what are you gonna do? Or
Who
like,
are you?
Yeah, and like
type
the
of
whole
thing.
quote of like, you are what you do. So like,
You are what you
definitely.
do.
and like to an extent, like, it
gosh.
is true, but at the same time, it's like, how far can you take it?
Yeah. I hear that a lot, and it kind of, I don't like it. I don't think I like that saying, because we are more than what we do.
Yeah.
Because we do so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do more than just do. Like, we think, we reflect. Like, doing is such a like a romanticized action in society, because like, like hustle culture. Like, the more we hustle, the more we work. The more respectful we can be, and like that has kind of created a society where like we cannot rest because we're worthless if we take a break. And then burnout culture is super prevalent too. And like, we're more than just doing.
This
No, go
reminds
ahead.
me of in the Barbie movie when Ken's job is beach. And
Yeah.
that's all he does. He is beach and Barbie. And he only has a good day if Barbie acknowledges him. And that's it. And that's his whole identity. And that kind of is like what the Barbie movie criticizes against, is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until this moment, that I think it's a criticism of our society in that
Yeah.
way.
He has to realize that he was Kenneth.
Yes,
All right?
exactly.
And that he is Ken.
And he is
is
more
him.
than just
Yes.
beach or Barbie.
Yeah.
It's toxic hustle culture.
Yes.
You got to keep hustling. And I just, it makes you feel sick.
Yes. Because it's honestly, to me, I feel like it's a lie. Because like, with a lot of success stories, like, like a lot of those success stories, it's always centered on the individual that succeeded, where it's like, oh yeah, I worked so hard all by myself and yada yada. But I think the reality is that there was probably a support network. Because personally, for me, to get to where I am, I feel like I'm lying to people if I say like, oh, I did this all by myself. I worked hard. I did work hard, but I couldn't have worked hard if I had people that was cheering me on and people who actually believed in me.
Yeah.
So like there's like this whole illusion of like, individualism and being like, oh yeah, like I did it all myself. No, you couldn't have done it by yourself. Because if you were by yourself, who are you going to talk to when you struggle? Or, who are you going to like confide in when, you have an issue that you can't understand? You need other people. And like when you need people, when you need support, that doesn't mean that there's weakness.
Yeah.
So at least for me, like if I ever get like super famous one day or whatever, I'll be like, I'll have like I'll be like the movie credits where like it's a whole ass list that like 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah, this person, that person.
Credit
that person.
everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so true though, because I think a lot of people want to say they did it all, and then they hustle so hard that they made it here. But it doesn't harm anyone to let people know, like, hey, you got love and support, you know, because we all need that. It's our energy source, and honestly, because of that conversation right now that we're having, is that for the last couple of years, because all people know me as was hair. Everywhere I go, everybody wants the consultation. Do my hair. No one really saw me for me. No one really asked me, you know, what do you love to do? Well, how do you like to spend your weekends? Nobody cared. They said, when can you do my hair? You know, oh, tell me about, you know, my split ends or whatever. It's like, that's all I was. And then no one really got to know me. And that's why when I first started doing music, everyone's like, stick to hair. I was like, but I love doing music. I've always wanted to do music. In fact, I wanted to do music way before I even knew I wanted to do hair. And that's why it's so interesting that people who say, they'll go like, I love you, but I love you when you did hair. I was like, no, you don't love me.
Yeah.
You do not don't say you love me. Because if you love me, you will love to see me happy.
Yes.
And they use this love to trap you inside of how they know you. They love you how they know you. And they love you the way they want you to be. And this is how people get typecasted, like, you know, like certain film roles, you know, like, let's just say Henry Cavill. You know, I love Henry Cavill. He's Superman. But imagine if I just typecast him into just being Superman. Well, what if he wants to do other things, act in other movies? But then, I love you when you're Superman. I don't think he will like that very much.
No.
Because he wants to grow. He wants to do different things. And as much as you appreciate the acknowledgement of him being Superman, we also, as people, we want to be more than our job title.
Yes.
We don't want to be limited to our labels. And that's why I named my first album More to Me. Yeah.
I love that. No, yeah. On the
Jasmine.
topic of this too, it's like we also experience this with like our Asian parents as well. It's kind of just like they love us as like how they see us, like not as we are. And especially like I've experienced that as well. Like being an adult content creator, my parents actually found out like back in 2019. And then it's like I ran away from home because of it, because it's like I got my degree. My parents were still unhappy because I didn't have an office job at that time. And then they found out I was doing so they got really upset at me. And then it's like when I ran away from home, there was like a lot of like text exchange. And then like I remember like receiving my text from my mom. She's like, oh, like come home, like I forgive you, like we can restart and you can go back to school. And I was like, I don't want that, you know? So it's kind of just like she is still like, she wants to love me like how she wants me to be, like not for who I am.
Yeah.
And you're still going through it now, huh?
No, thankfully, like we're in a good place now. But yeah, like thinking back to that, it was like a really hard time.
Yeah. Well, you have good friends here with you that support you. And Christy too, and myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes through this is, a lot of people might not understand, but it's us finding ourselves. And this is our journey. This is your journey. And you have to go through it. And, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, and like the amount of like, you know, obstacles and like, you know, hoops that you have to jump to hide who you are, it's exhausting. Because at least for me personally, you know, when I went to college, it was like the classic, like, oh yeah, I'm going to med school, be a doctor, make a whole bunch of money, have kids, boom, life done. But like for me, I was like, I want to study rocks that tell your personality. And my mother and my parents didn't really take it seriously. They're like, you just like rocks, like you just like studying astrology. And they didn't believe it because like they're also Christian, so that was also a big no-no. But for me, I changed my my major to philosophy after being a biology major. I hated it. Like my grades were like C's, D's, all of that. But once I went into philosophy, I got into like the honor roll list because I actually liked it. And then I didn't really get any respect for my career until I started making money. And until then, my parents didn't respect me. And like, I looked at them, I kind of think about it. I'm like, okay, it's understandable what y'all are doing. You're objectifying me. You want me to become your image of what a perfect child is. That's an identity. If anything, identities to me is a whole like it's a placeholder to make you feel mentally at ease. Like for example, like you know when people talk to you and they're like, oh yeah, I liked you when you like music. I mean when you did hair, but not like music. Like for them, what they're really saying is, you know, my identity of you changed, and now I have to mentally change or you know change things up, and I don't like doing that labor, so I'm just gonna hate on you instead. And
Mental
the
gymnastics.
funny thing about identity, I wrote this in my senior thesis when I was in college, is that identity at the end of the day is a destination. It's not, and it doesn't, and no one ever said it had to be your final destination. Like, I don't have to be the same person I was 5 minutes ago. I mean, people say that as a joke, but like, you really don't have to.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we evolve. We're not the same person today like we were yesterday because you learn something new every day. So when you learn something new, you become a different person the next day because you know better now. And that's what people don't realize, that we're allowed to evolve. We're allowed to. If Madonna did not evolve, she would not still be here today. Her evolution made her an icon. Her evolution made her be this legend within the music industry. And that's why evolving takes risk. Evolving is so scary because everybody wants you to stay the same. But if you don't evolve, you dissolve.
Yes.
If you don't change, if you don't grow, then you disappear.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for us to evolve and not be afraid of growing. Because people, those people will come and go. Those people that want you to be the same for them, they weren't meant for you. You're gonna outgrow them because they undergrow you.
Yes.
They stunt your growth is what it is. It's basically it's like they're feeding you as a plant, but inside a box. They're not actually letting you grow and blossom. They're putting you inside this box, and you need the sun so you could shine, and you need to grow outwards and expand and spread your wings. And you can't raise a plant and just shove it inside. Well, some plants can, but the plants I'm talking about, you can't. You know, like you can't suffocate people when you love them.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then personally for me, like I have met people who weren't loved that way. They are suffocated, and they got used to being suffocated, and they're used to like not changing. Usually when you talk to people who are like that and you start pressing for like deeper questions, they're usually mostly like
Bitter.
confused, bitter, and like the thing that you can kind of feel is that like they don't really know who they are. And like I can't imagine a feeling that scary.
Well, that's why there's so many angry people.
Yeah, because anger is a protective mechanism.
Yeah, people get angry, they judge people because they see something they can never be. That's why, like, for example, like, gay pride, when we have Pride Month, there's all these protesters out there. And I was like, but why are you here if you're not gay? If you don't like us, why are you standing here watching the whole parade? And what I realized is a lot of them have internalized, like, they're hiding. They're here and they're watching and they're hating, but they're actually loving it, and they want to be a part of it. There's an admiration, but the only way is through this lens, and this hate can become very scary because they can hurt you, do things because there's envy and jealousy of how you can be yourself, and they didn't have the courage to be themselves. And the thing is, some people don't feel like they can because they're raised in a certain environment where they could lose their family or get kicked out the house, and they're scared. And that's why having a community, having an outlet to know that we have a support system for these people who are scared, let them know that you can come out, you can be yourself, you're not alone. And the world will be a better place when we're not afraid of who we are. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, I realized that even as content creators, we try so hard to make everyone like us. Yeah. We try so hard to make people like us that we don't even like ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
do you like me with short hair? Okay, I'll cut my hair short. Okay, I'll change who I am for you. Oh, you want me to do only hair videos? Okay, I'll only do hair. Then I'll become bitter and angry because I hate it myself, because I'm not doing what I truly love. And I want to do me authentically, and whoever loves me for me, this is who they're love, even if it's low engagement. And I noticed that because when you're able to cater and pander, you have higher engagements.
Yes.
Oh,
Right?
definitely.
And so then that engagement makes us feel like we have like fuel, energy, and we get a high and a spike of high off of it because we feel like, oh, they love me like this. But then that's where you get trapped.
Yes.
You're trapped in a place where people like you for something very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and before I got known for hair, I want you to know there's another era of me. I was known for being that half naked boy at the nightclubs. I was a go-go dancer. So people knew me as this half naked, sexy Asian boy. And during the time when I transitioned into doing more hair videos on my YouTube, they were like, why are you doing this? Stick to, you know, being a naked model. Stick to being a go-go boy. We don't want to see you do this. My engagement was so low with hair, but I kept doing it because I love doing hair. And then all of a sudden, I found my audience. You find your people when you're authentic to yourself.
Yes.
You find your community. You find your tribe when you're true with your vibe. You know?
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. And that's what I mean. It might be low vibrations at first because they haven't found you and they haven't understood you. But the new people that come into your life, that's the people you want to attract that is able to evolve with you, because it's really interesting. I have now met a lot of people who only know me for my music. And I was like, it's like, that's weird. You do hair too? And I was like, it's so funny. It's like, you know, because I'll walk the mall and the girl come up to me. Oh my God, I have your music on my playlist. And then she follows me and then she goes, oh, I start seeing you do hair. I was like, that's different. I was like, and that's what I mean. You start finding your tribe when you're in your right vibe. You know what I'm saying? What you will find, because I've been around for a long time. You know that. You call me OG YouTuber.
You are the OG.
I've been around for a long time. What I find is that if you stay the same and do the same content, people will get bored of you too.
Yes.
They might say they don't like to see you change at first, but if you didn't change, you would have become irrelevant anyway, because they will get so bored of you because by then everyone's doing the same thing anyways. And so then all of a sudden there's like, oh, he or she always do the same thing. They never do anything different, you know? And then because I remember when I first did balayage, he only does balayage. And then I did silver hair. Ugh, he always does silver hair. And then whenever I start doing rainbow hair, oh, he's the one that do all the crazy hair colors. Like he's a one-trick pony. He can't do anything else. And then I start doing rose gold hair. Then there's like, all he ever does is pink hair. That's what they always do. They always like, that's why it's so important to just like, fuck it. I'm not going to, you think I'm only going to do one thing? No. Then I pop out with music videos. And then I was on a Netflix show. And they're like, what is, I just keep confusing them because you know what? Living in your truth and being yourself feels so good. And of course people say, I'll unfollow you. I'm unfollowing. I can't take this anymore. I was like, okay, did you have to make that announcement?
Yeah.
This is not an airport. You don't need to announce your departure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, who are you?
Yeah. It's like if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. But it's also they want to make you be known like, I don't like this. And it's like, no, but it's like, but I like it. I like myself. It's important that you like yourself, right,
Yes.
Christy?
Exactly.
How do you feel about all this?
Yeah, I get comments all the time. I'm unfollowing, like, you're a one-trick pony, because I do a lot of the same, like, videos, because they tend to do well. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just keep doing that thing. And I think that I'm in need of a switch-up myself as well. But my page started as a fitness, and am I allowed to talk about eating disorders? Or
Yeah, be yourself.
It was an eating disorder recovery page, actually. And then it went into fitness, and then it went into some of my modeling, and now it is what it is today. So people are always like, why is there fit in your name? You're going to have plastic surgery. Like, I hate when people with plastic surgery say that they're into fitness. And I'm like, well, actually, if you go down to 2015, this was a fitness account. And then I got plastic surgery. But, yeah.
That's the thing. I don't know how I feel when people shame people.
Yeah.
You shouldn't shame people for their journey. Everyone is on their path. Let people, you know, go through that journey, and they need to, you know, do what's right for them. You need to do what's right for you.
Definitely.
And no one can tell you to do what makes you feel good, you know? As long as you're not harming anyone.
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed.
What's the most annoying stereotype for you, each one of you?
Ooh, let's see. I think especially growing up as like a thicker girl, like having the stereotype like with Asians like being very like delicate and petite and like, you know, very like skinny. I was not that, especially like growing up. Like So it's kind of just like you would get called like fat a lot, even like today too.
From non-Asians or Asian people?
Like
or both?
Both, yeah. Even my family like would like fat shame like within each other.
So
like,
people want
yeah.
you to be a stereotype.
Yeah, like, and it's like really frustrating because it's like bodies come in like all different shapes and sizes. So it's like, you know, putting that stereotype is like really harmful for people that like, you know, it's just like harmful for anyone. Yeah.
How do you feel about it now?
Like, I definitely embrace my body type, and it's like, one of the things is like I carry a lot of fat in my arms, so it's like I started working on my arms, and now they're super buff.
Hey.
Like, yeah. So now I'm proud of my big arms, and yeah. So it's kind of just like over time I learned to embrace like this is the body I'm in. Yeah.
I hear that stereotype all the time. People always say that, like, you know, because I'm around like all types of people, men, straight men, and they'll make that comment and their fetish fantasies and all that stuff. And you see me, I can't even say that word just because it's like it makes me cringe so much. But they always say those things. They like petite and all these things, and it becomes like it affects you. It affects me, even though I'm not a woman, because it makes me cringe. It's because it's objectifying, you know? And what about you, Tofu?
Yeah, it actually kind of is similar to what your answer is, because it's like, oh yeah, like Asians are like petite and small. My biggest pet peeve is that it's the stereotype that like Asian women are mousy, submissive, helpless, passive, you know, easily, you know, malleable. Because I'm a bitch. I'm a bitch. Like, I get angry, I confront, I yell, I scream. I'm not helpless because, like, I mean, I'm an eldest immigrant daughter. Like, I couldn't be helpless. I had to, like, you know, parent my brother and like all that stuff growing up. So like I couldn't afford to be helpless or mousy. So like, you know, when certain dudes, they try to date me with a certain stereotype, being like, oh yeah, you know, you're an Asian girl, so like you'll be super easy to take care of because I'll control you, I'll boss you around, you'll be like my little, you know, Oriental doll. And I'm like, oh, you picked the wrong girl. I'm gonna make your life hell and enjoy every minute of it. So that's my biggest.
Because some people will pander to it. Some people like will play up that fantasy and stuff. Definitely. And but not you.
Oh no, not me.
Yeah.
Like I will probably just like I warn people. I'm like, look, I'm annoying. I'm annoying. I never shut up. And you're gonna have to deal with that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I honestly,
You're
I
outspoken.
Yeah.
I love it.
Christy, you know me. I love authenticity. Like if you need to like diarrhea in front of me. I don't care. Like if you need to let it out. But I want you to let it out authentically.
Yeah.
You know, like don't hurt yourself. You know.
Yeah.
Christy.
Yeah. So growing up, two stereotypes I faced were like can you even see? Like, I hate that.
Because of your eyes.
Yeah, that was a constant thing growing up. And then when I got older, I had a partner who, his family was really ignorant, and they would say ching ching chong to me. And it wasn't just like one family member, it was like all of the aunts. And it was just, I hate that ching ching chong stereotype.
I don't even know where they get that from because
Yeah.
Japanese doesn't sound like that. Korean, there's so many Asian languages that sound completely different.
And one of them has a daughter who had a half Filipina daughter. So that's even Filipina. So the daughter, she's like a toddler. And she would bring her up to me and be like, Natalia, say ching ching chong to Christy. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And this whole ching chong, like, what does it even mean? It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's not even a word. Like, where do people get this from?
So when my mom immigrated to America, she got made fun of her name, because I think white people come up to her and be like, oh, did your parents name you by the sound of the spoon when it clanged on the table?
I
I've heard
I got
that
that too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or the coins in a jar.
Yeah.
coins in a
like
jar, or like, you know,
pots and pans.
pots and pans.
Hitting the sink and stuff, like just
Yeah.
making noises and basically saying that our names are irritating.
Yeah.
And that this is why a lot of us, we change our name to assimilate. A lot of us who have Asian names, we start changing it because it's almost like we become ashamed of who we are.
Yeah.
We become ashamed of our language, our accent, our tones, because society bully us into feeling ashamed. And then on the opposite end of everything, we romanticize the European accents like French and Italian and even Spanish. We romanticize every accent except
Yeah.
Asians are the ones that become a joke and a
Yeah.
bully, and it's not fair, you know. And that's why I always like. It took me a long time to really embrace, you know, my language. And now I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna speak Vietnamese. I'm gonna be like Doma. I don't care.
Doma,
man.
Doma, my
Yeah.
yes. You know, I don't care. And make it sexy. And I, you know, me and my husband will joke around, and I was like, let me say something in Vietnamese, very, you know, in my sexy ASMR voice to you. You know, it's like bánh mì, phở, bún bò Huế.
Oh.
Trời ơi,
Trời ơi.
What do those mean? They sound so sexy.
bố go bự quá, you know.
I'm also Vietnamese, so I know what
Yeah.
to say. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so if I make it sound more sexy and not like, you know, like how people mock us, then how would that sound? You know, so I do stuff like that with him to play it up. And you were saying, Christy.
No, I was finishing up my thought. Yeah, just that the racial stereotype of always being told ching ching chong and why how you can't even see over it with those eyes. Open your eyes, things like that.
People don't know the trauma. So when we tell them ching chong is harmful, and our friends who aren't Asians, they don't get it. They're like, it's just ching chong. Like, what's so? It's like
Very dismissive.
They don't understand. It's like we get gaslighted all the time because we are the model minority. That myth that is labeled and put on us. It means that, you know, we are yes men. That's how they see us, that we assimilate, we don't complain, we don't speak up about injustices. And that's why I'm so glad within this last couple of years, so many of us are speaking up. We're tired of being silenced, you know, because our parents' generation was told to like keep your head down, work hard, don't complain, don't speak up, you know, just work hard and people will see your worth. No, they don't.
No.
Never. It's never enough.
It's never enough. They keep making you do all the mess, and you'll never appreciate. You're never rewarded, awarded anything. You know, that's why now with this next generation coming up, like you said, you know, bitchy, loud. We can speak our minds, independent.
Yes.
Yeah, because like I feel like for our parents or, you know, immigrant parents exactly, right? They come into America and like the people are like, hey, if you don't want to be oppressed, be invisible. And then maybe for immigrant parents, they're like, oh, maybe it is better to just be invisible. Because I think I read a book called, it's by Kathy Hong. I think it's called Minority Feelings or something. It talks about, you know, how Asians specifically experience their racism. And the thing that like really hit me from that book was like, oh, Asians oppress and are oppressed for the purpose of being invisible. Because being invisible might be better than being seen and getting hurt.
Wow.
So in other words, don't be vulnerable.
Being invisible also means you don't exist. You're not seen, heard, and when you're invisible, it's almost like posting content and nobody cares, right? So we all know what that feels like as a content creator, right? It feels like, why even do it? Why even be here if nobody cares? No one even sees me anyway. So then you just feel dead inside.
Yes.
You know, sometimes when you have purpose and you speak up and you fight for social injustices, it gives you so much that passion, that fire from within, because it gives you that willpower to wake up every day and do something about it. But that can also get exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you know, being an activist, you don't sleep. And then if you just ignore the issues and be, you know, a stereotype and be quiet, then you don't exist. And you're like, oh, people don't understand. And I have this conversation with my friends who aren't Asian, who are non-people of color. And they say, I don't think about these things. You know, I was asking my friends who are white, I was like, do you wake up thinking you're white? And it's like, no, I don't think about any of those things. But for a lot of us, growing up, we're thinking about how we can, you know, get along with white people, how we can make people more comfortable, how can we make white people like us. It's because when you see that representation in movies like Disney and Nickelodeon or whatever, all these, you know, Brad Pitt, all these Tom Cruise movies, you go like, how can I make that person see me? How can I be validated by these people, right? We grew up that way. So we always think about how we can adjust ourselves to make other people comfortable. We're so busy making ourselves uncomfortable for other people to be comfortable that we're so uncomfortable in our own skin that we're literally constantly adjusting, but we don't fit in. We're constantly adjusting but not fitting in. Seriously.
And like eventually it gets really scary because sometimes you'll look at the mirror and you're like, wait, who is that?
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Well, everyone keeps on saying, you don't need to fit in with anyone. Just fit into yourself. It's like, but that's the problem. We don't fit in with ourselves because we don't love ourselves for the longest time. But things are changing now for the better. Thank goodness. And with me, a stereotype for me being an Asian guy, there's so many things. People think we're weak. They think we're effeminate. They don't think we're, they think we have small wieners, and they think that we don't have strength and we're not masculine and all these things. And so I had to fight that all my life. So that's why, again, through my music videos, I say, how can I hyper masculinize myself? How can I be seen, getting the girl, getting the guy, because I tell stories about me when I was with a girl and when I'm with the guy. I tell stories through my music videos and you get to see it. And when I do that, I'm always showing how sexual I am. And of course, my audience didn't get it. My hair audience, they think I was being, extra. He just wants attention. He's he's egotistical. I was like, you don't understand what I'm doing. Because these people, they're not Asian. Yeah. They're usually not Asian people that say that because they don't understand what it's like. Because, and I don't want to say it, but when you are in that position of privilege, you won't understand the pain and the tolerance that we have put up with our whole life not being seen. And if I want to be fucking extra and show off myself to be sexy, not only for myself to be seen, but people who are like me to be seen, I'm going to do it. Just like you, Tofu.
Yeah. I mean, personally for me, I feel like the goal at the end of the day is not to fit yourself into certain norms. Like for Asian men being emasculated, right? Even if Asian men were weak, were effeminate. Even if, right? Personally for me, I don't care. I would love someone no matter what they were. And what they were labeled as.
What is weak for people, and what culture and what society, and because it goes back to patriarchy, it goes back to misogyny, it goes back to all these things. Like, why are we because I'm from Oklahoma and you're from Texas, so we have this idea of well, you gotta talk like this, and you just gotta be a real man. You gotta hunt them deers and
have no feelings.
You got no feelings because boys don't cry because a real man don't cry, and you're raised to think that way your whole life. So if an Asian man doesn't fit that stereotype, then all of a sudden he ain't a real man. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's like what is this real man that everyone's talking about? And that's why with the society where we're heading now, we're starting seeing men being more sensitive because men have been suppressing their feelings because men have feelings too.
I was talking to a guy at dinner the other night, and he was boasting about not having feelings and not being vulnerable. And I'm like, can I give you a piece of unsolicited advice? He's like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, women actually don't find that attractive. We actually really love when men are vulnerable and have humility. He's like, well, I don't care about any of that. I'm like, that's why you're single and that's why you have issues. And he's like, And he thought about it, and I think I planted a seed, but I don't know if I affected him yet really, but at least I planted a seed because it's not working for him. And he was complaining about how women this, women that, and why am I single? And I'm like, because you're the way you are. You have this tough exterior.
The toxic masculinity within himself.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's so deeply ingrained and embedded into our heads because I grew up with that. I was told I can't cry. I never saw my dad cry. I never see my brother cry. I'm the one that always cries. So I always felt like I wasn't a real man or whatever. And then I was like, why do I always cry? What's wrong with me? And I felt like there's something wrong. It's because society keeps this pressure on men telling us that we are not allowed to express ourselves. And then what happens is they don't know where else to have an outlet to let that out, and they start doing crazy things.
And they also, that's how the violence happens, because they don't know how to communicate their feelings properly. And like we said, it's a societal issue. That's what they were taught to do. And it's like a habit. They have to reform those habits to learn how to be vulnerable and have real conversations.
That's why there's so many violence, like you said, because that's their
only outlet.
And that's why we need to, change that. It's okay to cry, express yourself.
It's okay to cry.
We're human.
Yeah. And the irony of it all, right, is that a lot of men tend to a lot of women get the accusation that they're being fake. But I'm like, you're hurting your feelings though. Aren't you fake? Aren't you the one that's not being authentic here? Let's be real. We don't have to be authentic all the time because it's exhausting.
Yeah.
We don't have to prove to people that we're ourselves all the time. Well, like, let's be real.
And you know what's funny? Growing up, because I'm kind of a people pleaser as well, but I'm very like nice to people because I feel like everyone should be treated with equal amounts of respect. But people would tell me, "You're so fake. You're too nice." Like, and then I had a manager say that my coworkers didn't like me because I'm too nice, which comes off too fake. I'm like, no, I'm just respecting people. Like, I just want to be nice to everyone because that's how we should be. And she's like, well, that's not how it rolls in New Jersey. Like, you need to like be real. I'm like, I am being real.
Yeah, well, you're treating people how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's really strange.
Yeah, it was a weird experience.
I like never understood that. Like if you're too nice, it's like seen as fake, but it's
Exactly.
like why though? Why is that a thing?
Well, with all of us being here now, with me being gay and you being women, and then we're talking about toxic masculinity, do you find men who suppress their emotions and act like, like this? Let me show you. Like, they'll sit back like this. Like, yeah, man, what's up? What's going on here?
Don't forget to spread your legs like 180 degrees.
Like, spread your legs out. Like, yeah, man, what's going on? What's up? Like, does that turn you on? Is that what? So no.
No.
We don't want it.
You hear it here, boys. 3-1. They're not saying it just because I don't care, because I'm not a straight man, so I don't care. But I want to know. So you want a man to express his feelings.
Yes.
So if he cries, you're okay with that.
That's hot.
Yeah, of course.
I will hug you. And
you want to have feelings.
I'll cry with you.
Because I've seen videos on TikTok where these guys are training other men how to be alphas. Have you seen those videos? They said that women say they want sensitive men, because that's what I saw this guy was saying it. He said that women want sensitive men. They're just saying it, but they really don't. He said that they want them to still be like alpha, like bro-y and stuff. So, we're in a safe space here. Do you agree with that?
Heck no.
No.
That's a guy putting a woman's perspective, and like, I don't know how he would know what women want, because he is not a woman.
Yeah.
So at least for me personally, if you have to work so hard and like scream on top of your lungs that you're strong and that you're alpha, to me, I'm just like, oh, you're just weak.
Yeah.
See, so for me personally, I don't like toxic masculinity because when I see it, I'm like, oh, you're faking it.
Yeah.
Like I instantly feel the fakeness, and I'm like, yeah.
It's like they're trying so hard to prove something.
Yeah, like if you were truly an alpha male, you wouldn't have to say anything about it.
Yeah.
In my 20s and my teens, I tried to be that, like, because I was trying to survive. I was like sitting back, I was slouching all the time because I thought that's how I was supposed to look. And then I go, oh man, I'm so uncomfortable in my body. Why do I have to slouch? Why do I have to sit like
Exhausting.
this? I'm exhausted. Why do I want to cross my legs? And that's why I say, we're constantly conforming, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Like, can we be comfortable with our body for, for this lifetime?
Well, I always say when men do those like toxic masculinity things, or drive the car with the loud engine and like they need to rev it at the red light, things like that, I call that LDS, little D syndrome, because they're over compromising for something else.
They're
that's
compensating
not
for
happening.
something.
That's what I'm saying. They're overcompensating for something else going down
Yeah.
there. Because if they had to be loud about it, then it's probably not true.
Well, now they're saying you gotta have the BDE. You gotta have that
BD
big
energy.
D energy.
Yeah. It's all about the energy.
I came up with BADE, baddie. Big Asian dick energy.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Snap. Okay, so good stereotypes. Do you think there are good stereotypes? Like, let's talk about it here for a minute. Do you like any good stereotypes on Asian people? I mean, let's talk about math. They think we're good at math.
Smart.
I'm not good at math. Don't try to
I'm not
copy
good at
me in my
math
test
either.
scores. I was like,
I see.
no.
I'm not good at school either, but I like that stereotype because then it makes us like, I guess it's that model minority stereotype because they see us as intelligent, and the crazy rich Asian stereotype is actually kind
That's
of
so interesting. 'Cause I
interesting.
never knew that people think that we're all rich. I grew up thinking like my parents are always bargaining.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's
same.
like $10, no, 5,
Yeah.
10, 7. Like they're bargaining everywhere they go. And I was raised to bargain with people. Even we're at Macy's, we're bargaining for a discount. So when this whole crazy rich Asians thing came out, I was like, where did this stereotype come from? Who says we're rich? I grew up not being, I have to work my ass off. So I was like, I didn't have all this. So I was like, and then everyone thought that we're privileged because of, as far as wealth. And I was like, that's strange because I never heard it before. And I've seen that a lot of people talk about the Chinese businessmen. I was like, but that is not, that's a small percentage
Very
over
small.
here.
Small.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people are struggling like anybody else.
Yeah.
So
It's a
Yeah.
random,
To frame your question, it's kind of like, is there any good objectification?
Mm.
Because
That's a
if there's
good
any,
point.
because like stereotypes is an objectification.
Yeah.
I feel like personally for me, it's like I think my answer is no, because either way, even if we were stereotyped in a positive light, quote unquote, or like we're seen to have a positive quality, it's still not real.
yeah.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Just like the
Definitely.
stereotype that you're saying, it boxes you in. People think
Yeah.
the people think you are your stereotype before they even see you.
That's
Yeah,
true.
And it actually
exactly.
causes invisibility for like other people, because like not all Asians are rich. I think like there was a huge like because like model minority is actually not really helpful, because like I think I was watching a video and this person was like, you know, Asians, it's a huge there's a huge
It like
population.
dismisses their
Yeah,
experience.
and it's not just like East Asian. There's Southeast Asians
And
like,
South Asians.
Yeah, and South Asians, and like a lot of those people in like in those populations, they're actually low income, and like, but everyone just sees Asian as like Korean or Japanese.
But those are dangerous then.
Yeah, and like you know, there's like
Yeah.
xenophobia even within the Asian community.
Xenophobia,
retract my statement.
xenophobia,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
types of phobia.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
people are, I don't know if you experienced this growing up, but people are scared of our food.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
People are scared. It's like, it's just chicken. I was like, it's just chicken. Why are you so scared about? Because it goes back to everyone thinks that we're eating our pets. You know, and it's like, it's so annoying. Like, I have 3 dogs now. My mom grew up, we have like 6 dogs. And the rumors constantly spread around the neighborhood. People think we're raising them like a farm to eat them. And that's why I get so annoyed by these stereotypes. And people think it's a joke. No, it's not a joke. And it was so prevalent after 2020 because they were calling us bat eaters all over the internet.
Yes.
Do you remember
Oh,
that?
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my god, I remember like seeing TikToks like comments about that underneath my own TikToks, and I'm just like,
They were
what?
calling you that. They call me
Yeah.
that. And the strange thing is, there's so many different other countries and cultures that do practice different, you know, animal eatings, but no one's talking to them about, because we are vilified.
Yeah.
Like, we're foreignized, and then that's why we've never feel like we belong.
Yeah.
And I remember, I mean, to share some stories with you, I remember people were just trying to get us to film a segment on a specific show I will not name, but they wanted us to film a segment about Asians eating dogs, and they want us to talk about it. And I was like, so you want Asians to talk about that? What narrative are you trying to push here? I literally called it out. I said, this is racism,
Yeah.
and you are causing more hate crimes that we already had, like enough hate crimes during the height of 2020, and then they're going to cause more fear
Yeah.
within our community. And so I said, no, I would not do that. I would not participate in this conversation. So then I called it out. I said, well, what about, you know, in the South where they eat deers and alligators and hunt rabbits and squirrels? What about that? How come no one talks about that? Okay, so that's okay? And it's like, so you think I eat my dog? Do you think I eat my pets? No, this is not okay. This is, you know, you're stereotyping me. This is racist. And I called it out, and all of a sudden I became difficult to work with. Oh, he's difficult. Then I got punished for it because I spoke up. And this is why a lot of us stay silent, because we feel like if we stay silent, we won't lose opportunities. But if we speak up, we will get shut down. And this is the risk we take. When we voice ourselves, people shut you out. They don't want to give you that opportunity because you don't fit their narrative. They
Yeah.
want you to fit their narrative and their agenda and this propaganda that they put out there to have hate within our community. And people don't want to believe it, but it's real. And that's why I had to check these people who was trying to get us to film this
As you
segment.
Yeah.
You know, and so, I mean, I told you about this, right? You know, and I'm being vague about what I was filming because that's not the purpose, but I want to share my experience,
Yeah.
and that is vivid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So with all these Asian stereotypes,
Can I jump in
Oh,
really
oh, I'm
quickly?
sorry. Yeah,
No,
go
I
ahead.
just wanted to add on really quickly. Back when the pandemic started, March 13th, I remember the date because that's when lockdown started. I went for a manual lymphatic drainage massage, and my masseuse, she was like asking me where I'm from, and she speaks Spanish. She's Cuban. I was speaking to her in Spanish, and I was like, oh, I'm from China. And then she was like, oh, why did your people cause this like pandemic? Like, why do they eat bats? Why do they eat such disgusting things? Like, your people are terrible. And she kept like going on and on throughout my entire session about how bad Asian people are and why do they eat such weird things. And I'm like, really?
Isn't that interesting that people feel it's okay to talk to us like
Yeah.
that?
I'm like, why do you
Yeah.
think? Why do you feel like that? I just met you today, and like still either way.
It's
like,
that invisible.
Yeah.
It's that model minority invisibility. It's that
It's
just-
normalized.
Yeah, it's normalized to talk down to us, and we're supposed to take it.
Yeah.
It's so annoying, and also because they don't fear us that way. When I say that, it means they're not threatened by us, but they fear us as quote unquote foreigners, and that's why I hate the word exotic. And here's the thing: I know that a lot of people who are in the adult field love to monetize off of that word because people do love calling Asian women or gay Asian men exotic. But if you look up exotic in a dictionary, it means foreign, or you are rare. You don't belong here. You know, like a flower in a desert. On the surface, it might sound beautiful when you don't want to be basic. But when you're an Asian American person, you grew up here, you want to belong and you can't fit in. And they say, you're so exotic. And then the next sentence, when they get mad when it's convenient, go back to China. Oh, okay. So you're telling me I'm foreign and exotic. It's like, I don't want to be foreign. I want to belong. I am American. This is my nationality. And people don't know the difference between nationality, ethnicity, and race.
That's true.
You know, so I say, when they ask for my nationality, I'm American. I'm from Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, born and raised. My ethnicity, I'm Chinese, I'm Vietnamese. My dad's Chinese, my mom's Vietnamese. My race, I'm Asian.
Yeah.
When it goes down to the forensic DNA of my bones and my blood, I'm Asian. But ethnicity is your culture.
Yeah.
And people don't know that.
Yeah, they don't.
They use the word ethnicity and nationality like it's
same thing.
interchangeable. No, and race. No, it's so different. Why don't they teach this in school? I need to be a teacher.
Yes.
I need to teach like social studies.
Yes.
Or you know, a new category like.
I mean, people try. I mean, it's called critical race theory, but you know, that word now is a buzzword for like political parties and everything.
And
try
it's
to shut
too
that
critical that it now is being criticized
Yes.
for its critical title.
down. Yeah.
Well, with stereotypes, let's talk about the Asian glow. Have you heard about the Asian glow?
Oh, yeah.
Being allergic to alcohol?
Yes, it
Yeah.
means you don't have like this DNA to break down alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay, can you drink?
I can drink, yeah. I don't necessarily get Asian glow, but I have had friends who like would take a shot and then like their whole body gets red. Like one of my friends, she had really good like foundation. So it's like her face would be like normal color, but like neck down, it's all red. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so she's very sensitive to like that.
Tofu?
I don't Asian glow as much. I mean, granted, every single time I've drunk, I have makeup on, so I can't really tell. I mean, my foundation's pretty good, but I think like compared to like other people, I don't have as much of a strong glow. But I know friends that like they take one shot, red, tomato, over.
Oh wow, Christy?
Yeah.
Very allergic. Even
Oh.
kombucha makes me red. Yeah, I get red from kombucha. I can't breathe. I get the hives. I feel pulsation throughout my entire body. I nauseous headache. Just all the really bad symptoms. I'm super sensitive to it, and people don't believe me sometimes. They're like, "What? Are you sober?" And I'm like, "No, I'm really allergic."
I only get emotional when I drink. I don't get
Oh.
red. And what's really interesting for me is if you really like, you know, like soju and all these sake, when you think about it, like the Japanese and Koreans, they drink a lot.
Yes.
I don't see them turning red. But what's interesting is like I'll be with my friends who are white, they turn so pink and red. But I was like, and I'll go, look, they turn pink and red too.
Yeah.
But why do we get stereotyped? And it's like, and then my husband tried to argue with me. He's like, no, you know, it's because it's enzyme. I was like, well, I see red. That's all I see. I say, I'm not red, you're not red, but why they red? I said, what's this
Valid.
mean? I'm just saying. What does it mean? Do we do? Because I don't fit that stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so maybe some people fit it, some people don't.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Okay, so have you heard of Asians don't have body odor?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of
Yes.
that.
That is me.
You don't have
Yeah.
body odor.
No.
Yeah, like my armpits when I sweat, it's just like a no scent. And like some, it depends on also the day, but for the most part, when I go like this and I go like, and it like smells like nothing, I'm like, wait, what's going on with that? But like, not to say that other parts don't have odors.
I think there's a certain gene.
when I Googled it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you have like a certain gene,
Let me look
it
this
makes
up.
you
I still wear-
scentless,
Yeah.
and you have dry earwax.
and it's mostly Asian.
I heard
people.
about that.
Yeah.
But I still wear deodorant just in case. But like for the most part, me too. It's weird.
I have okay, so even though I don't smell as much, I put on like deodorant like obsessively because like growing up, like at least my mom would have a sensitive nose. She'd be like, "Why do you smell like onions?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" So like every day I'm like 10 swipes every day.
They say it's the
feel-
ABCC11 gene, the no body odor gene. They said that East Asian has 80 to 9% of the population that don't have body odor.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they said. So, okay, so I usually don't wear deodorant, but one day I was doing hair, and I was going, "What's that smell?" I thought it was a sink. I kept sniffing the sink. I kept sniffing the trash. I kept looking around. I said, "Where's that smell coming from?" But the whole entire time, it was my armpit.
Oh.
And I did not know. And I was like, "Where is it?" And I went, "Ah!" I was like, "Oh my God." And then so I called my husband down the stairs, and Almar, that's his name. So I was like, "Almar!" He says, "What? Are you okay?" I said, "My armpit stinks." and he goes, "What's this mean?" And I go, "I'm supposed to have this Asian gene thing that I don't have but why does it stink? Do I need to start wearing deodorant? Am I evolving somewhere? Like, what's going on?" But I don't know. I had bad body odor that day.
But that's it.
It comes in and out. It's like when it
Yeah.
wants to have it, but most of the time I don't have it. But
Yeah, same
occasionally,
here.
isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
occasionally for me too. I think it depends on like how much bacteria is all
what,
the
like, you
little
eat
stuff.
Or what you
sometimes.
eat.
Yeah.
I think like diet plays a part into it too, because it's like I'm the same way. Sometimes I like can sweat without deodorant and not smell, and then other days, ooh, you gotta stay like 6 feet away from me, you know. And I think like a lot of like diet and like plays into it, because I know like you know, garlic and like onions, like that can affect like how your sweat and like how your odor smells.
And then, like you said, it affects the earwax. So they say Asians tend to have dry earwaxes, not wet ones.
Yes.
Is this true? Do you have wet earwax or dry earwax?
I think it's wet. Not like wet, soaking wet,
Oh.
but when I've like taken the Q-tip, it wasn't like dry either. But also it depends. I've had both. So like,
So you're not a stereotype.
I guess no. I don't know.
You broke
I'm
a stereotype.
combination.
You're a combination.
Oh.
Well, you, Jasmine.
For what?
Earwax.
Oh,
Wet or dry?
I think it's like kind of like goes either way. Mostly dry, I
Wow.
think. Yeah.
Usually dry, so 75% dry.
Yeah.
I'm about 80% dry, sometimes
wow.
wet. Yeah. So
yeah, same here.
so we kind of break some stereotypes there.
Yeah.
So we don't have, we're not just dry earwaxers.
I didn't even know that was a stereotype for
Yeah.
Asians.
I didn't know it
Yeah,
either
I didn't know
until.
that either.
Okay,
Wow.
the next one is they say Asians are lactose intolerant.
Oh.
Okay, are you?
I say like my digestive system is pretty strong, but like, yeah, if I have milk, I will have to like go take a shit, like probably a few hours later. Yeah.
So what's up with all this, like, with boba? There's milk tea, boba. They put milk.
Yeah.
I used to work at a boba shop. I can explain this. So like, when you see like jasmine milk tea or black milk tea, what they're using is non-dairy creamer. So that's why you can drink all the boba that you want and then not take, all the shits. So they have to, but then that's why in boba shops, sometimes they have a section called fresh milk.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's when they use real milk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna be good friends because if you love boba, you love
I
boba, right?
love
Okay, I can't live without boba.
Yeah, me same
Girl, I
thing.
named my dog Boba.
Yeah.
Boba, lychee, and banh mi. Those are my dogs. So
I've spaced out for a second.
lactose intolerant.
Yes, lactose, because the boba conversation confused me. Lactose intolerance. No, I am not lactose intolerant.
So you can eat ice
but
cream?
I can. All of that's fine. It's just cream sauce in a pasta that really gets me. Like a
Like fettuccine Alfredo?
Yes, that will give me acid reflux. And certain dairies will also
Pizza?
get... Pizza's fine. Cupcakes are fine. Ice cream's fine. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I'll get a little bit of acid reflux from like heavy cream sauce.
Yeah.
But like milkshakes, I'm good too. But for the most part, I'm pretty solid with dairy.
Yeah, me too. I don't have any issues. I eat ice
Yeah.
cream. I don't get diarrhea, nothing like
no.
that.
Me
So I
neither.
don't fit that stereotype
Thank
either.
goodness.
And also, a lot of Korean foods have cheese now.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true.
So many places they have cheese and it tastes so good. Like they put
Yeah.
cheese on their kimchi fried rice.
Oh,
You know,
so
getting hungry.
good.
Tteokbokki with cheese. And, ramen with cheese. Oh, God.
Rice cakes with cheese.
You're making me hungry.
Oh, and okay, here's another one. Bad driver.
Oh,
I'm just from Jersey.
let's see.
Okay, are you a bad driver?
I am a lot better now, but Yeah. Well, we don't have to talk about that.
Actually, I have a story about driving and being bad. I am not a bad driver. I think when I first started learning driving, all of my family members would criticize me. They're like, "Oh no, like you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that, yada yada yada." But I'm the only person in my family that passed my driving test for the first time.
Wow.
Within
Wow.
92. I mean, look, I know it's Texas, so it's easy. But like, I was the only one that passed. I'm like, why are y'all beefing with me? I actually passed the first time. All of y'all failed the first time. So
The LA driver test is a little bit more difficult.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, y'all need it. Like every time, like I drive in like LA traffic, I'm like, y'all are on a different level.
Yeah, it took me like 3 tries to pass it.
I want to share this story with you. So I was in Vietnam last year for my tour. And so when I got there, I was like, whoa, the traffic, the chaos. There's so many cars. There's bikes everywhere. And I go, but it's organized chaos.
Yeah.
There's so many of them going different directions, but they are organized. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's, the whole bad driver thing, they're not bad. They're really good. If they can drive,
Precision.
if they have that precision
Yeah.
in this chaos, they can really drive.
Yeah.
So I was like, where is this coming from? And I think maybe like, I guess if you take someone out of an element and you put them in another element, maybe that's where the stereotype come from because the laws are different.
Yeah,
And they're meant,
definitely.
because like they also drive on the opposite side, the right side and not the left side. So because of that whole mentality, when you move to a different country and you have to learn how to drive, your brain has to rearrange. So it's not that you're bad at driving, you just have a little bit of an accent. You're trying to adjust, your cultural atmosphere.
I think they might tie the bad driving stereotype to having small eyes because if you can't see, you can't drive. I think that's where that stereotype comes from. I've also been to Vietnam and like it's insane. Like you can literally just close your eyes and walk. You probably won't get run over.
No.
Even though the street's like full of like
Yeah.
mopeds everywhere.
Because they're careful. And the whole thing about small eyes being Asian is actually technically not true. If you take out our eyeballs and lay it on the table next to a non-Asian person's eyeball, it's all the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the eyes are the same size, it's mainly the fold. So when you have, like, let's say we have a monolid or whatever, then the skin folds over and covers the eye. But they say it's due to the atmosphere of the cold. If you're living in a cold atmosphere, then you have to protect your eyes from the blizzard and stuff like that. That's what they said is the survival in the past. But a lot of people think all Asians have monoliths. That's not true. Some Asians are born with double eyelids.
Yeah.
And
I was born
so-
with a double eyelid.
Yeah, I think so. Me too.
Me
I
too.
don't know.
Because a lot of people assume like if you have double eyelids, you have work done on your eyes. It's like, no, not all Asians are monolided. Some have double. And a lot of people who aren't Asians don't know the struggle of having monolids either because in our culture, if you have monolids, for some reason, people look down on you.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I remember when I was a baby and, I came out and they took a picture of me. I remember my family was like, oh, that's going to be an ugly baby. They said that about me because when I came out, my eyes were like squinty like this and the photos said, oh, we thought you're going to be ugly like your uncle or something. But when you grew up, your eyes opened up. Thank God. I was like, oh, I'm calling out some people here. Ooh, if you're watching this, I'm just sharing my life story.
Poor uncle.
Poor uncle. Yeah. So if you get upset,
Justice for uncle.
hey, yeah, your brothers and sisters are talking about you. But anyway, but you know what I mean? And that's why we have so much, like when people do like the fox eye trend, like everyone's getting their eyes foxed out. Like, like they're getting the threads to get their eyes slanted.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, they don't think it's harmful, but remember when we were kids, they'll do the Chinese, Japanese,
Oh my
they'll
gosh,
pull their
yes.
eyes. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
And they
that.
bully us, they throw rocks at us because they're saying our eyes were ugly.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't feel good.
And then they pose like
Yeah.
And now they're posing like that. Yeah, and it's a trend.
Yeah.
How's that make you feel as Asian women?
The fox eyes just gives me major side eye, like to whoever does it, because it's like, I'm pretty sure like all of us here like have been bullied for having these kinds of eyes. Yet now it's like a trend. Like we have like experienced the like pulling the eyes back. Like people have done that to our faces, and then now people are doing it for cosmetic purposes. And it's like I don't know. It's just like why.
And when you
Yeah.
try to call them out for it, they will gaslight the hell out of you.
Yeah.
They're saying it's just a trend. Stop being so snowflakey or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They'll say all these things like, and I was like, huh. So you could say this to us because we're Asian. You're not scared of us. But if we were another certain ethnicity, maybe you be listening,
Yeah.
because it's also a form of appropriation.
Yeah.
Cultural
And-
appropriation.
And
yeah.
and the thing is, they don't understand the trauma our eyes brought us.
I was just about to say they
Yeah.
want to be exotic so bad, but don't want to have to deal with all the trauma and the
That
issues
comes
that
with
come.
it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
People want the ethnic features to
Yep.
look quote unquote exotic and different and unique and special, but they don't want the trauma that comes with it.
Yeah, like why are our features like a trend? Like why does that have to be referred to it? Like it's our features.
And
you
the funny
know?
thing is, because so many non-Asian people are getting the fox eye, it blurs the lines where people don't even know who is Asian and who's not. I've even been called passing. They even told us that you're white, you're passing. Wait, I thought you're mixed. Because it blurs the line, because so many non-Asian people are getting the eye operation that all of a sudden it blurs the line. So if you're a light-skinned Asian or tan, it doesn't matter. They still think you're a tan non-Asian person with fox eyes.
I hate. Oh, sorry.
And this is where our voice and our trauma gets diminished. It's not heard, because it's like, what are you talking about? We look just like you. We look the same. And I even have friends who aren't Asian that would tell me, I love Asian people because they don't complain. That's what they said to me. They said they're a safe race. That's what they said to me. So you like us because you think we're safe? You don't think that we complain? So we make your life more comfortable. So we're convenient. Isn't that... I know, it makes you cringe, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard that before?
No. Oh, see, like I want to be a safe space, but not because of my race.
Yeah.
I want to be a safe space because of me.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we're living in a world, especially with what I do. I have to work with so many things, and then it's like to create this conversation. It's like making people understand, but they don't, and nobody wants to have this conversation. They get tired, they tune out. So when you talk about things they can't relate to, they say, "God, they're complaining so much." They tune out. People tune out because they don't want to hear. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. And the one justification that they use when it comes to cultural appropriation is that cultural appropriation is something that a lot of people of color in America complain about. But then they'll say things like, well, actual Asian people in Asia, which is already a painful thing to say, they don't care. So, like, why do you care?
Because they don't know. They live in a homogenous country where they never face discrimination.
Yeah.
They never face being marginalized. If someone who was born in China or Korea or Taiwan or they don't know, because they're in a homogenous country where everyone looks like similar to them. So with us, we face that marginalization, discrimination, and isolation and lack of representation. So of course we know what it's like to feel discriminated against. They say, oh, they don't care. So you can't say that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. You can't compare someone from China versus someone who's Chinese American. You can't compare someone who grew up in Africa versus someone who's African American. You can't compare someone who's a Chinese from Europe to the Chinese American. We all have different lived experience, but when we're having a conversation about being Asian American, let's keep it in that conversation and not compare it to somebody that grew up in China or Korea or Japan.
Yeah.
They don't know the difference, because you know what that means? They think we all look the same. Do you see? They think, and not only that, maybe we do have similar features, but our culture, the way we're raised, we're not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll say things like, "Oh, you speak such good English." I was like, "Bitch, I'm from Oklahoma."
Yeah.
In fact, I speak better English than you, because I'm correcting you that the word Oriental is not proper, and I'm correcting you that exotic is offensive. Like, if you think I speak such good English, why is your English so damn bad if you're the one that's supposed to be the one speaking good English? Because they don't even know these definitions to the word.
I was 16 and I parked my car in front of my friend's house, and her neighbor was like waving me down. He's like, "You speak English?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Oh, okay. I just want to make sure you don't look like you speak English."
Oh.
I was like, "Dude, what?
What?
Yeah.
How do I look like I don't speak English?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's because, like, people also do the, oh, you speak really good English. Like, where are you from? And you're like, Texas. And they're like, no, where you really from?
Oh my gosh, I hate when they ask that.
There was this Chinese TikToker that was like, oh, yeah, like, I am from here. And they're like, no, where are you really from? And then the girl goes, China. And they're like, yeah, China. And she goes, my mom's but China. And they're like, oh. And like, it just goes over.
Now, we know that we have overcome this journey, right? We have risen above our insecurities. But there's a lot of people within our community that hasn't gotten to this place yet. They are still very insecure. They hate themselves. They'll make horrible comments about, they'll play into the stereotype because they are pygmies. They're like, pick me, choose me. I will cater to you. You've encountered this a lot, right?
Yeah. Like, at least for me, I had a story where I had an assistant. We were friends since like 2016. And I was playing like a game with them and like other friends online, and we were talking about dating preferences. And what she said was disturbing because, when they asked like, oh, like, what do you prefer? And she's like, oh, I prefer dating white guys because, like they're just more civilized.
Oh.
Yeah. And like, I just sat there and I was like, wait a minute. Like, there's some people in here who aren't white. Are we not civilized? And like, and then like, rightfully, some of my other friends were like, yo, I think that's racist. Like, I don't think you should say that. And like, they felt like they got attacked. All I simply said was, sometimes when it comes to dating preferences, it's important to ask yourself, where did they come from? Because, a lot of people think that their thoughts are entirely their own, but they don't even realize what cultural influences that they're under, or societal influences, or philosophical influences. Like, it's really hard to say that any thought is your own. And that's all I said, but they got really mad at me. And like,
I'm gonna interject my thoughts here because a lot of people will talk about their preferences, but a preference is what you like, not what you don't like. And they constantly dismiss people. But also, preferences is not something you're born with. You don't just come out your mom's, vagina and then go, oh, I like, mint chocolate chip ice cream, or I'm only attracted to a certain race. No, you don't just come out and have a preference. Your preference is conditioning.
it's learned.
It's learned. It's the environment you're in, what you saw, the culture, the people you're around, your survival. These all influence our quote unquote preference. It makes you feel like you have to like this to survive. It makes you feel like you have to assimilate, like we said. And for example, I grew up in Oklahoma, so I ate a lot of mashed potatoes and fried chicken. Because of that, I love mashed potatoes and fried chicken. That becomes some of my staple food that I love because I grew up like that. I grew up with a little bit of an accent because I'll go, y'all, how y'all doing? Because I grew up in Oklahoma and that's how we talk. That's conditioning. That's learned. I didn't come out going, hi, y'all. I'm here now. No. This is why preferences are also can be considered very racist because why do you feel the need to tell people you don't date Asians? Why do you feel the need to do that?
Yeah. So, and the thing is, it's so normalized that people will get actually really mad if you call out and say like, yeah, having a preference, it is kind of racist because I think a lot of people think that preferences are something that you can't control. They think that it's innate. And so therefore they feel like they're getting attacked over something that they can't control. And that's how I think a lot of people talk about sexuality too.
Yeah.
And like
being gay is something I can't control.
Exactly. Yeah. But like they kind of treat it as like it's innate. And I'm like, y'all don't treat sexuality the same way.
No.
Because people are like, oh yeah, being gay is a choice. But like apparently being attracted to a certain race is not a choice. And like I think for me too, I feel like categorization is strange, right? Because I know like at least for Asian women, there's the whole stereotype that we date only white men. And it's like, okay, are you dating white men because they're actually white, or are you only just dating them because you're privileged sexual? You're into the privilege.
Oh, girl.
And that's what I've suspected because like, unfortunately, it is, your life will be easier if you date a white person. Because like, when you're driving and you're speeding and then you get pulled over and the cops looking at you, they're like, oh, you're an Asian bad driver. But then like if your white partner's sitting there, they're like, hey, officer, you're home free.
And also if you adopt his last name. So Simpson, Johnson,
McCarthy.
then McCarthy. If your name is switched, then when you get this phone call from a telemarketer, Miss McCarthy or Miss Johnson,
Resumes.
It changes the way people view you. And then you have access to that privilege.
Yeah.
There's another word for privileged sexual. It's a little bit different. I call it CloutSexual.
Oh, yeah.
CloutSexual is when you're attracted to clout. And that clout turns you on because you're all about the opportunities that it brings you. Whether it's money, status, followers, whatever it is, a CloutSexual will do what they gotta do. They will bend sideways, backwards, upside down to accommodate, and they love it because it brings in the engagement, the following, the numbers, the money, the opportunities. A clout
chaser.
a CloutSexual, a CloutSexual will do what they do. And I've encountered so many CloutSexuals because I've met some where people go like, is he gay or is he straight? Why did he, hook up with this person? I said, it's not because he's gay. That person is in a higher position, so he's trying to hook up with him. So he had to pull out his knee pads and get down on his knees and do what he did. And that doesn't mean it makes it right, but a lot of people will bend and snap and do what they got to do for opportunity. And this goes back to your privileged sexual too, because some people want to marry up.
Yeah.
And sometimes marrying up gives them an easier life because it's about that assimilation. A lot of people want to, adopt that last name. They want to have the passing babies and children because people see them as more beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes us so much work to love ourselves in our purity, because we're told being pure isn't beautiful for such a long time that we have to have a little ethnic tweaking to assimilate to be more beautiful. And it's interesting because in the beginning we talked about blue contacts and blonde hair. Then we talked about the fox eyes, which is the reverse. I've had people comment and say, well, Asian girls get their hair done blonde, they get their eyes with blue contacts, they do light skin. That's the same thing. So if they could do it, they feel like, why can't they get the fox eyes? I was like, that's very different because they weren't oppressed for their features. No one tells you, oh, look at your ugly blonde hair. No one's saying that. No one's saying, oh my God, your blue eyes. No, people praise blue eyes. People praise blonde hair. So you can't tell me being blonde is oppressed. You're not oppressed. But having your eyes being slanted and being marginalized, being vilified your whole life growing up and being bullied,
Yeah.
and then to go and take it, that's not the same conversation we're having here.
No. It's
And
completely
as a hair colorist, I turn everybody blonde. Not only Asian women. I turn girls who are white blonde. A lot of white girls don't have naturally blonde hair. A lot of them are level 5, 6, 7, or 8, which is like light brown to dark blonde. And they're ashy, usually. And they want to have that platinum blonde hair. I still have to highlight and bleach them too, like anyone else. That's why I always have this conversation. Like, why is it that when we think of a non-Asian person, we always think blonde hair, blue eye? Because they're not all blonde hair, blue eye. No. That's stereotyping them.
Yeah.
And that is, for us, we need to do better as a community. We need to love ourselves. We need to celebrate who we are. We need to stop pedestaling other people before ourselves. And because a lot of times, this constant blame game, we're constantly blaming people. And yes, historically, it makes sense. But we have social media now. We have so much access to make that change. We can make a difference, That's why I do what I do with my music. I do what I do with my channel. We all have a platform. We can break these stereotypes. We can be that change. I always say, fill that void that's missing for you. Don't sit around and wait for it to happen, And you have the ability to fill that hole. You don't have to wait for it, Yeah. And because I know that we're sitting here ventilating because we are, and we need to ventilate it. But we also need to know that we have power and that we are beautiful and that we can change that narrative.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Was that intense?
That was pretty intense.
We love it.
But you love it. You
Yeah,
love
I was
it.
like,
I gotta
yes.
do it.
Yes. Sauce.
So, I know that, we're all content creators and we all have a title. Is there anything else that we want to do that we're passionate about outside of our titles? I know you said like astrology, rocks. So this is something you want to like go hardcore full, like, because I know that we have like the Asian Angels. And so do people know you for one thing more than the other?
Yes, it's so interesting when you hop between different communities. I actually met, I think some person like texted me and they were like, oh, I didn't know you did all this content creation stuff because I followed you all the way when you did astrology because I was an astrology content creator. And like, and then like my astrology circle, they're usually pretty more open to like content creation and they're like, oh yeah, you're going all over the place. That's super cool. Like it, like whenever you have like eras and you go to like different fields, Like, it's very interesting to see how it all crosses and intersects.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, I kind of don't know what I would like to be known as, because I'm still relatively like trying to learn how to go about it. For me personally though, like one thing that I love to do that like, you know, a lot of people may not know is like I love reading. And like I have like a little book list where I've listed like every single book that I've read, and I have a summary for it, and like I have like a genre, the date that I finished, stuff like that. I was inspired by Jen M. Hello, I love Jen M. But like so like I love reading, and like sometimes I love content creation in general, but like a part of me is just kind of like, what if I just went on book TikTok? Or like become a book influencer.
Yes.
Same with food. I also
You
love
should
food.
do it.
You should.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do
It's a cool community.
That's why I said, be that change, fill that void, do what you want to do. It's hard,
Yeah.
but you have the power to take that initiative. Sometimes, you know, we're always trying to wait for the right time, but time isn't waiting for us.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
Definitely.
Jasmine.
Oh, let's see. Well, I'm currently like branching out into like Twitch right now. So I've been like doing a lot of Twitch streams because I love playing video games. I've like literally played League of Legends for like 10 years. So that's what I've been doing. And then I also want to like kind of transition or like not really transition, but also have it become like part of my brand, like fitness, you know? Because it's like, especially with my like biggest like weight loss, and then like kind of like struggling to get to like a point of like, okay, like what is a healthy like kind of like the healthier lifestyle instead of just focusing on the weight. Like I think that's kind of what I want to do, and like help people get to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard because a lot of times we're so used to posting what gets likes versus posting what we actually like.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
that slow transition on posting what you actually like, and we'll be
Yeah.
here for you to support you all the way, because when I see you
Yeah.
post all these stuff, I'm gonna like it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
just letting
appreciate
you know that.
guys.
Yeah,
That's
post
important.
Your arms. I will always love your
Yes.
arms.
Love
Yeah.
the flex.
Flex all the way
Yeah.
through.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's right. Good friends are there to support all your wins.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times, you know, we'll have friends that will be just there for us when we're down, but sometimes you gotta be very wary of that, because sometimes
Yeah.
people like to see you down because it makes them feel up.
Yes.
Definitely.
So a lot of times people think good friends are there when you're down. No. Be very wary, because good friends need to like your wins.
Exactly.
Good
Yeah.
friends need to love to see you happy too. So
Yeah.
there's a very, you know, balance there to ensure who your real friends are. You know, so be, you know, watch for those things. People gotta be consistent.
Yeah.
Christy.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever done in my whole life has been motivated by wanting to travel the world, having the freedom, the financial freedom to do so. And I don't even want to capture it on camera either. I like to get to a financial place where I don't even have to record content to be there. I just really want to get down and dirty with all the different cultures and experience all the food, see all the pyramids. And I feel like everything I do is always motivated to be able to see and do those things for the rest of my life. I love travel. I love the world.
Yeah, as long as you're not traveling for work, it's fun. 'Cause
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've traveled for work for the last, 7 years. It's very stressful.
Different. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way different experience. So I was like, I don't even want to have to work while I'm experiencing in the cultures and in the different villages and stuff.
Okay, so I want to know, what is your first celebrity crush?
Ooh, I gotta think about that.
Well, I'll go first
Oh.
then. Oh, okay, you go first.
Oh gosh, the first person that popped into my mind, Taylor Lautner,
Oh.
from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I always thought he was so cute. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The one that I remember, you know Freddie from iCarly?
Yeah.
I loved Freddie from iCarly. I was like, oh, he's so cute.
Aw.
He's my type.
Christy?
Vin Diesel.
Oh.
I was like 5 when the pacifier came out, and I just loved Vin Diesel.
Oh, wow.
Random. Don't know why, but I remember it.
The Zach Morris character from Saved by the Bell.
That like,
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I bleached my pubes.
I can't believe you did that too.
Yeah, but now that we have said this, I want to know, what's your first Asian crush?
Oh, I always thought Asian boys were really cute. So like Jake Long from the American Dragon cartoon.
For me, so I got into K-pop really early when I was young. Kim Jae-jung from TBSK.
Oh.
Oh, he's cute.
Yeah, he's, yeah.
Mine was
Tell me later.
Kangta. Kang Tao from HOT. Do you remember Kang Tao?
Yeah.
Yeah, huge crush on him. And you?
I got mad love for Simu Liu.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
we-
you.
Oh, he might hear this.
I know you got a girlfriend, but
Oh, that's true. Uh-oh. The girlfriend might not like it too much.
I love you, Simu.
Hey, he's doing a lot of work out there.
He's killing it. I'm
Yeah,
so
he's
proud of
killing
him.
it. We're
I feel like a mom.
You know what I love to see more sexy Asian men out there
Yeah.
repping. Because if one breaks that door down for us,
Exactly.
we're all able to come through.
Definitely.
Whether we believe everything that comes with it, whatever. But as long as we, if we want to see more, you have to
Open the doors for
open the
everyone.
door. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about what's your favorite food.
Ooh, sushi.
Sushi.
I love sushi. Yeah, any Japanese food.
Oh, amazing.
I like Korean food. Like, I love sundubu. I mean, I call
Oh,
myself
yes.
tofu for a reason.
Oh, maybe we need to go have that.
I don't know what sundubu is. I've never had it.
It's like a spicy tofu stew.
Ooh.
And like whenever it comes out in the earthenware, it like jiggles.
Oh,
Yeah, so like, so the reason I call myself tofu is because my titties jiggle like the food.
Oh,
Love it.
Yeah.
Have you had kalbi
Yes.
with the cheese? Oh my god! Oh, God, it's so good.
Yes.
I need to try it.
Oh my god, you have to. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it's
Okay,
super
yours.
good.
Anything potatoes.
Potatoes.
All forms of potatoes. Always
Potatoes
been my
perfect.
favorite.
Mashed potatoes.
French
French
fries,
fries.
tater
Oh.
tots, hash browns,
Potato
all
chips.
of them. Potato chips.
Have you ever seen the
Yummy.
56 layer potato cube that people
Yes, it takes.
make?
Yeah,
It takes like hours and hours
Yep.
to make it for like this little potato cube.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you might
Oh
really
yeah. Well, for
56
me, it's anything
layers?
with carbs.
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
Whether it's
But
like
do you have a specific carb? I need to know.
like it. Yeah,
Gosh, I like-
rice or pasta.
I like them both. I like rice, pasta,
Bread.
noodles, ramen.
If you
pho.
could only eat one dish for the rest of your life.
I grew up how to eat pho every day because I find it's really healthy.
It's healthy.
It's
It
healthy.
is.
It's light because it doesn't have much like oils, grease, and butter. It's just very light. It's rice noodles, so it doesn't make you feel bloated.
If
know?
you didn't have to worry about all of that or health, what would it be?
Oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
When the pandemic happened, I ordered like fried chicken and pizza.
Yum.
Yeah, so I like that, but I love pineapples in my pizza. I don't know if you do.
I
Oh,
love
I
it.
do.
I love it. I don't care Gordon
I love
Ramsay
it
doesn't
too.
like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Always be a hint of sweetness into your
It's so
food.
nice.
It's sour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sweet and sour.
I love pineapple fried rice. Have you had that?
Yeah.
before?
Yes.
I
Oh,
love it.
Oh,
good.
so good.
pineapples on anything.
Yes. True.
Okay. Anyone here like lychee?
Yes, I love
I like
lychee.
Lychee is my favorite fruit. I can eat lychee every day.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, this leads us into a conversation about authentic food. Okay. So, you've heard this term about how people say certain foods are not authentic and what is authentic, right? Like orange chicken, from Panda Express. So, my parents used to own a Chinese restaurant, and I used to work there since I was 14. And I waited tables at multiple Chinese restaurants, and they always have sweet and sour chicken, orange chicken, sesame chicken, some type of fried chicken with sauce on it. And a lot of people say that's not authentic. This is authentic. But I argue that because it's authentic to me and my lived experience. My parents owned a restaurant since I was a kid. That's what I ate. As an Asian American kid, it's authentic to me. But someone from Asia will come and say that's not real, that's fake. I was like, well, this is my lived experience. And sometimes I feel like the word authentic takes away. It's almost like derogative in a way, insulting. There's got to be about because maybe traditional. I don't know. Maybe that's a better word, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, like certain ramen noodles, like what the war noodles, the Korean one.
Yeah.
What was it called again?
Oh, what noodles?
Oh,
The
budae
ramen
Oh,
noodle.
budae-jjigae, yeah.
Budae-jjigae?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that was born out of the war times, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of foods do evolve over time because of now we're starting to see a lot of cheese and Korean food.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see like so many food have different things because the new generation are just mix matching and doing different things with it and
And it's good.
it's good.
Yeah.
And that's their authentic lived experience, right? So that's why I say I never really liked the word authentic because I always felt like someone will use it to insult me if I'm eating orange chicken. Because Asian people invented orange chicken.
Yeah.
You know, Panda Express is owned by Asian people, so you
Yeah.
can't really take that away. It's the ingredients that are available to us here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, actually, I think on Twitter there was like a recent conversation, like the differences between like, you know, Chinese American food and then Chinese food. Apparently, Chinese food in the UK is even different.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Like UK Chinese food is extremely
they got
different.
like French
Really?
fries.
Yeah,
In every.
yeah.
Oh.
They got chicken balls.
Yeah,
Right?
chicken
Balls.
balls. Yeah, and then like people are like, "Oh, that's not authentic," and I'm like, and I sat there, I was like, "I've never had that,"
Yeah.
but I'm like, "Well, it might taste good."
You want to try it.
Yeah,
And that's the thing, but that's their lived experience. And we can't take
Yeah.
that away. It might be different for us because we're so used to a type of Chinese cuisine because we're born and raised here in America, and this is our authentic lived experience. So it's always dismissive when people say, that's not authentic. That's authentic for us. And that's where people compare the homogenous versus the Asian American lived experience, plus the Asian European lived experience, right? Two
Yeah.
different things. Any thoughts on this?
yeah. I mean, also like it's kind of like you kind of have to like draw a line though, because like sometimes, you know, I feel like white people especially can bastardize our food. Like, you know, like with spring rolls, for example, right? Like, you know, there's Vietnamese spring rolls. But then, like, sometimes I see people go like, oh, there's summer rolls. And I'm like, what's a summer roll?
Well, they'll change stuff like fish sauce. Instead of calling it fish sauce, they'll call it like citrus vinaigrette.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like instead of like soy sauce, like I hear like tamari sauce, liquid aminos, like it's like really different things. And like I mean personally for me, I'm kind of like whatever. But it's like I would be kind of like a little peeved if like a person was like, oh yeah, I put broccoli in my pho.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh.
Does broccoli not go in pho? I wouldn't know.
Usually it doesn't.
No,
okay.
but some they'll accommodate because it's vegetarian, so they're trying to
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
accommodate.
feel like I've had it in there, so I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like, you know, sometimes like for like vegetarian pho, like you'll see
Yeah.
like carrots or like baby corn sometimes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's all
Yeah.
I've ever had in my pho, which is funny now that I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, because and then like people are like, oh, what's the real pho? And like people think of beef pho. But sometimes but chicken pho exists.
Yeah, chicken pho exists. There's so many different types of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is too. Like people, like pho, like they're not. Some places they're not accommodating. Like vegetarian. Like what? No,
Because
this
it's
is
not authentic.
Yeah, like this is how they want to make it. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sacrilegious, is what they say about the
Yes.
pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
Similar
I know.
vibes.
I have Italian friends, and they tell me all the time pineapple doesn't go on pizza. Right, Marco?
Oh, yes.
And chicken Alfredo, that's not, I learned that wasn't authentic. When I was in Italy, they'll be like, you know, there is no Alfredo sauce.
Vodka sauce. Too.
Yeah, they don't believe, they're like,
Yeah.
they were so offended by it, you know? So,
Wow.
yeah, I know.
They get very protective
We
of it.
live a lie our whole life in America with Alfredo sauce.
Yeah.
I know. I had to learn when I was in Milan. They taught me and say like, that's offensive.
That's a flex. In Milan.
So that's closing out this episode of TangTalk. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave comments below. Share with how you feel, whether you're Asian or not. I know there's a lot of take-home message in this podcast. We share some deep stuff, right? So many relatable things. And we are going to have a part 2. In the part 2, we are going a lot deeper.
Oh.
You thought we were
Yes.
deep here?
Yeah.
We're even more deep in part 2.
Yeah, we're going to do some reaction videos to some very interesting videos that are out there. So with that being said, where can we follow you?
Oh, well, my Instagram is JazTeaa, JASTEAA. And yeah, you can also find my other platforms. You can just Google me too.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we like that. And Tofu as well.
Yeah, my Instagram is ubuamatofu, UWUIMA. TOFU. And yeah, you can also Google me. You'll be surprised.
Oh, yes. We love surprises. All the links will be below, okay? And Christie?
Christie Mcfit, ChristiemcFit.
And follow me as well on Instagram, Facebook, subscribe, hit that bell, do all that stuff. Check out my music, everything. We will have a part 2 of this podcast, so make sure you tune in because part 2, we're going deep. We're going real deep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part 2 is going deep, and we're going to have deeper conversations. So make sure you come back.